Do you know that the United States Treasury Secretary now, Scott Bessent, worked with Soros for many years? He was one of his closest associates. Well, the story goes that in 1992, on a Wednesday, also called as Black Wednesday, there was a huge shorting of the British pound. And I think I've told you this in a different context. That's what gave George Soros his first billion. Well, there were two associates or assistants of George Soros who helped that happen. And one of them was Scott Bessent, who is now the Treasury Secretary. Now you tell me if there is more things associated or whether George Soros still casts a shadow on the current Trump administration. I don't know. I hope not. But we do know that for the first term of Trump, Soros did donate to Trump's campaign also. He was hedging his bets on both sides. It's possible that he may have donated money this time too. What I'm trying to say is getting rid of Soros's initiatives, interests, his investments in different walks of judiciary is going to be harder than one thought. But at the same time, what really happened that time, I'm going to show you by way of an infographic. As always, a request to please like this video, and if you have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. Here we go. Who was Parashurama, who led a life of devotion, dedication, and daring? Why did he take birth on the earth? Was it to eradicate corrupt Kshatriya rulers who had become tyrannical and oppressive, or was it to bestow daya for the needy? The Black Wednesday team, there were three people. One was the brains, Stanley Druckenmiller, who was the lead portfolio manager. His contribution was that he identified that there was a fundamental flaw in the exchange rate mechanism, and it was his idea to short the pound. You have to go back and watch my other monologue about what happened in exchange rate mechanism, how the British wanted to join that. They in fact joined it, but they were not able to hold on to the valuation expected. They were much weaker than that, which meant that they had to raise the interest rates in order for the pound to be an attractive investment, and they could not afford to raise the interest rate. Why? I'll come to that in just a moment. The guts of the story, three people, right? Brains, guts, and the analyst. The guts was George Soros. His contribution was when Druckenmiller came to him and said, let us short 1.5 billion, Soros famously said, go for the jugular. He ordered the position increased to $10 billion. They bet $10 billion that the pound was going to fall, and fall it did. And I think it netted the hedge fund $5 billion, and 20% of that was the cut for Soros, and he made $1 billion out of it. That was his first billion. That's why he's hated so much in Great Britain, because he shorted the British pound. Who was the analyst? It was Scott Bessent. He was the head of the London office at that time, and his contribution was he provided the smoking gun, meaning that when he looked at all the home loans in UK, he said almost all the loans were not fixed interest, but they were floating interest rates, and therefore if the British government raised the interest rate to make it more attractive for investment for other countries and other people, then what would automatically happen was that all the homeowners would be forced to reset their loans very quickly. They were on a floating interest rate model, not like 30 years 5 fixed, nothing like that. They were on adjustable rate mortgages. That meant that if they increase the rate, that would really damage the pound. As a matter of fact, they did do that, but by the time the damage was done. So did he plan this whole thing? No. It was the strategic vision and trade initiation came from Stanley Druckenmiller. But he did enable it because he was the eyes and ears on the ground. Without his analysis on variable rate mortgages, Soros might not have conviction to bet 10 million. Make no mistake about it. Shorting the pound was Druckenmiller's idea. Soros's contribution was pushing him to take a gigantic position in the book Inside the House of Money by Scott Bessent. So how did the whole thing happen? The flaw was first identified. Britain joined the ERM, locking the pound's value to the German mark. But Britain was in a recession while Germany was booming. When you have that kind of a disparity, it is very difficult to keep up. Bessent's discovery was that most UK mortgages had floating interest rates. If the UK raised rates to defend the pound, homeowners would go bankrupt. This meant the UK's hands were tied. Then the go big order. Armed with Bessent's intel, Druckenmiller pitched the short. Soros ordered them to leverage the entire fund. They sold $10 billion worth of pounds to make $5 billion profit, of which 1 billion, 20%. That's how the hedge fund manager gets 20%, and therefore Soros got 20% of 5 billion of, so $1 billion. This was on September 16, 1992. The Bank of England tried to buy pounds but ran out of money. The pound crashed. Soros fund management made $1 billion in a single day. So these are all the references for this, and therefore I still say that many people in the current Trump dispensation are having some coattail information, some links with people who we would consider as deep state. So I would not rule out the links, and I don't know if they are acting independently or not. That's not for me to say. It's for their action to speak for themselves. All I just wanted to say was Scott Bessent and George Soros and Stanley Druckenmiller were the ones who made that big bet. Also, it is believed that Bessent was in London when the Russian currency crashes took place. I think 93, 95, 98, there were 3 different crises. I think in those things, Soros bet against the ruble, and I think they lost a lot of money there also. That part never gets mentioned much. You can go back and look at history and see, did Soros lose money on Russian ruble? Then you'll get the answers. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.